Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Made in New England interview series, where we talk with New England-based companies and the people who lead them. I'm your host, Steve DeVries, and today I'm joined by Phil Mastroianni of Fabrizia Spirits, located in Salem, New Hampshire. Phil, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Steve. Great to be here.
All right. So maybe you could kick us off and tell us a little bit about you and your company.
Yeah, of course. And so my brother Nick and I founded Fabrizia Spirits 15 years ago in Salem, New Hampshire, with the goal of taking a homemade limoncello and making that available for sale. And that's called Fabrizia Limoncello. We didn't really know what we were fully getting into. I had the benefit of being much younger than I am now. My brother was actually graduating from UMass Amherst at the time, and I was in my mid 20s. But we learned as we went, and we've been able to turn that limoncello into a national brand, one of the top selling limoncellos in the country, and also have a line of ready to drink cocktails that came sort of sprung up out of as a byproduct over the years. And in the nut, so all in all, we have about 25 employees between our sales team and our manufacturing team, based out of Salem, New Hampshire, still where we started. And that's sort of the whole story in a nutshell.
Well, the canned drinks are becoming super popular, so I can't wait to actually check it out and see what I can find. I know they're popular in my house, but I got to think that there's some story behind why you chose limoncello in the first place. Was that a family thing?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I started making limoncello after visiting my cousin Angelina in Calabria, Italy, and got home and just said, wouldn't this be fun as like another hobby to do? Because I had really gotten into my ancestry, my heritage, when I was in my 20s after visiting where we were from in southern Italy. And limoncello is one of the few items that none of my great uncles were making in Newton, Massachusetts, where I grew up. So I sort of thought, well, wouldn't this be fun this holiday season? I'll have something that no one else has made. And I just got the recipe from one of our extended cousins, and that's how I made the limoncello. And a story I've told many times, but it still feels like yesterday. My uncle Joe from Newton, Massachusetts, looked up at me after having a limoncello and said, "Phil, this is the best limoncello I've ever had. This is what you should be doing." And I said, "I don't know, Uncle Joe. I don't think that would work." And he said, "No, no, you're on to something." And that night, can also remember like yesterday, I couldn't sleep. I kept on thinking of, the hurdles, and then I'd work through that hurdle in my mind. And and that's what I did all night. And the next day I woke up and decided I wanted to start a limoncello company, and haven't looked back in 15 years.
So we can all thank Uncle Joe for giving you the nudge.
That's right. My crazy Uncle Joe. And I guess
Nice.
you need a crazy uncle to give you a good idea.
Nice. Well, so we know you make a great product because you said so. So I got to ask, what else has driven your success to this point? 15 years in the
Uh,
business,
yeah, I would
that's some
say the
success.
number one thing has been determination. I would actually say our products come a very, very, very long way. Our initial product was good. The product we have now is excellent. Meaning that, at the time, especially, we started the whole company with $30,000, and most of that went to our to get our lease, to get some basic manufacturing equipment. And then we were broke immediately as soon as we started the company. So we had to work within our resources at the time. So, we had clear glass, which doesn't hold up against the UVs, even of a store light, as well as a frosted glass. We had the best lemons we could find, which might have been Mexican, Californian, Chilean. I don't even know, because guess what? We didn't ask, because we didn't know that was important at the time. We just needed the best lemons that, we could maybe get that day at the fruit market. And now we import our lemons directly from one family in Sicily, and we know even where it comes from. We even have a webcam overlooking the grove, that we proudly have on our website. So, we've gone from buying lemons in the market, that we might not even know what they were, but it was fresh, right? So it was still good. It was still maybe better than a yellow number 5 limoncello, to now we control the process right from the field in Sicily. So we're using Italian fruit. And we've been getting better and better every year. But so the answer to the question is, the product has gotten better over the years. The number one ingredient has been our determination and our conviction that we had a good idea.
I love that. So before the show, I told you I was a little bit of a business geek. And so I always like to ask our guests, when you think about your business, what metrics are you using to know that you're hitting all the marks that you want to hit?
Yeah, and I would say in our business, we look at reorder rates for our customers. So it can take quite a while to get, say, a new restaurant not a new restaurant, but a new restaurant to us to purchase our limoncello over another one, or we have some other flavors now, like we have a pistachio liqueur. So it's one thing to sell in a case, but then to get that reorder the next month and then the next month. So reorder rates is a very important metric for us of customers. So I know you're based in Southern New Hampshire, like we are. Market Basket's a big player in New Hampshire, and so is Market Basket reordering our canned cocktails more than last year, less than last year? That's an extremely important metric, and I would say that's the most important metric, frankly, that we look at.
Awesome. So
Before I even get into another one, that's the most important one.
no, it makes complete sense. So think about your business and you look out into the future. You've been at it for 15 years, but you got a long future ahead. What excites you most about that future?
What excites me the most is 15 years in, I still love what I'm doing. And that I finally feel, you know, I was the 25-year-old kid when we started, and now I'm in my young 40s. And I finally feel that we have a product that I've never been more proud of, especially where we're sourcing the fruit straight from Sicily. We even just started 2 months ago sourcing the pistachio, which in Italian they say pistacchio, from Italy. So we're using Sicilian pistachios, Sicilian lemons. A year ago this month, actually 13 months ago, we landed our largest account, which is the Italy Pavilion at Epcot. They serve up almost 1,000 bottles of our limoncello every single month down there. So it's been a great marketing opportunity. So it sort of feels like we're on all cylinders. We expanded into California with Total Wine as well as Whole Foods. So we were fine. That was a big accomplishment that started about the middle of last year. So it's funny. We've been doing it for a long time, but it also feels like we're just getting started. And the most exciting thing about all of that is I'm still enjoying it. So I'm more or less looking forward to doing what we've been doing and just continuing to do more of it.
So that's an amazing thing when you're busier than ever and you're having more fun than ever, right? So thinking about your business, right? If you had a magic wand, right? So I hand you this magic wand and say you can make one thing happen with that magic wand. What would you do?
Oh, wow. Um, okay, that's easy. I mean, we've never been able to have a real marketing budget like all the big brands that are out there. So everything we've had to do is from the ground up, word of mouth. You bring a bottle to a friend's house or a 4-pack to your friend's house. They tell somebody, if I had a magic wand, I'd put money aside, right? The magic wand would just have billboards of Fabrizia, commercials of Fabrizia, trucks painted with Fabrizia. And that would be the magic wand, to be able to have some of that type of traditional marketing support that we can't afford. And frankly, I don't know when we'd be able to afford because it's just so darn expensive.
Hmm. Okay. So that's a great answer. So switching now to being a New England-based company, what has being in New England, or you could boil it down to New Hampshire if you like, what has that meant to your business, pros or cons?
Well, yeah, no, and that's a great question. And something I'm proud to say that we've been able to double dip New Hampshire and Massachusetts. So I'm born and raised. All of my grandparents got off boats and settled in Newton, Massachusetts, where my parents met in high school. We came up to Southern New Hampshire because the licensing fee is considerably less in New Hampshire. And when we started, we had very little money. We didn't really know where this was going to go. So it made sense to drive up, get the license in New Hampshire, and here we are all these years later. So being in New England, you can be a big fish in a small pond. And that's one thing that it's harder to do in some of those big markets like New York, like Florida, like Texas, right? So not that you can't. I mean, Tito's doing just fine, and he started in Austin. But that all being said, in New Hampshire, we were able to get so much great community support, starting in Salem, right up to Concord with the New Hampshire Liquor Commission, and then we were able to double dip that because I live in Massachusetts, and all the local Massachusetts liquor stores and many of the restaurants in the North End we're very willing to support local. And it's easy to get a little bit of a buzz and the word going when you're in a smaller market. And so I think that New England, being so traditional, being many people that have lived in New England for a long period of time, a lot of the businesses have, especially in the liquor space, the retailers have been around for a long time. It was really able to utilize the fact that we were local and made in New England to our advantage, and that was a major advantage.
I love that. So, last question. Any advice for any budding business leaders facing, let's say that they have that, I won't say childhood, but that young adult aha moment, right? Where it's like, I want to make a business out of this. What do you want to tell those people?
Well, you just have to love the idea enough that you're always, I mean, listen, we started making limoncello in the Granite State. And that made absolutely no sense. Um, and there would have been plenty of people that along the way thought I was crazy, and I could tell you plenty of stories of how many times I've heard no. But I always believed in what I was doing. The idea always resonated with me that I could make an all natural limoncello as good as the best ones in Italy. And I could do it here and I could make it for less money. And I always believed in that idea. And 15 years later, I still believe in the idea. And clearly, we're demonstrating it was a good idea. But along that journey, there's plenty of checkpoints where you have like the opportunity to sort of give up, but the idea has to be strong enough and you have to believe in it. You have to love it that you are willing when you get to those checkpoints, when, which are, by the way, things that don't happen the way you wanted them to, that you say, you know what? I'm not going to ditch this now. I'm going to press on and hope that it gets better and hope that I get a yes. And I'll make my tweaks. You got to be smart. We've changed a bunch of things over the years. And we started with lemons from California. Now we import them straight for Sicily. We say, hey, you know what? Kay, at this checkpoint didn't go the way I wanted to. Let me revise what I'm doing and let me carry on. And loving the idea and being committed to it would be the number one thing, regardless of your age, that you need to have if you get that aha moment and you want to give it a try. Because most likely than not, my last word of advice, go on and on. I would just predict that there's a very, very high likelihood it's not going to play out exactly the way you thought it would. It's not going to be as easy as you hoped it would be. And that's why this is my best advice to anyone starting out.
Wow, inspirational words. So
No,
our
thank
guest
you.
today, our guest has been Phil Mastroianni of Fabrizia Spirits. I encourage everybody to check out their product, check out their website. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. Phil, thank you very much for joining us today. You've been a fantastic guest.
Steve, thanks once again so much for having me.
All right, and thanks to everybody for watching and listening. I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode. Have a great day.